Samuel Bass sat down with the Deputy Permanent Secretary responsible for administration at the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, Ibrahim Sisao, to discuss the development.
His assignment and Region 2, 287 schools were verified, were visited, and out of these 287 schools, 30 schools were closed, 257 schools are permitted to operate. The 30 schools that are closed, 20 of them are nursery schools, ECD, 9 of them are lower basics, and then only one senior secondary school. The schools that are allowed to operate is about 257, and 208 of the schools are nursery schools. 33 of them are lower basic schools, and then 11 senior secondary schools and 5 upper basic schools. We also already sent a press release to all the leading newspapers.
Are the findings in Region 2 similar to the earlier findings in Region 1?
Yes, very similar. The findings are very similar. During our last discussions, certain issues come up, like the issues of schools operating in incomplete buildings or unsafe structures. These are similar findings that we found in Region 2. But the most common problem with schools, especially with the nursery schools, is where schools are operated in compounds. Schools are used for multi-purpose reasons. You have a school, and then you also have tenants living in the same premises, which is definitely against the school regulations. Where you have a schools in a compound, what we can allow is for there to be a sufficient demarcation between the school and the and the area of where people are allowed to stay, so that schools can also have enough space for children to during breaks where they can go and play.
Playing ground.
Yeah, so that's something we also make sure that schools have to abide by. We also realize that some schools have issues with sanitation, problem of water, problem of toilet facilities. These are things that we find it difficult to compromise. And all these 30 schools that are closed, these are some of the reasons why they are closed. Yeah.
Can you tell us the way forward? What will be the fate of the hundreds of innocent children out there?
Yeah, the way forward, I will take it in 3 levels. I will start with the schools. The schools that are permitted to operate, my advice to them is to keep the standard, because this exercise will continue. But for schools that are closed, a report is already written, and then we made individual report to all these schools that are closed. So all they need to do is to look at the recommendations and let them work on that, adjust all the recommendations. Once they are able to do that, they can come back to the ministry. We will allow them to operate again. At the level of the ministry, specifically to the regions, they should strengthen the monitoring of those schools, so that schools that are closed are not allowed to operate. And we also give this warning to schools that are closed to desist from doing that, because there could be sanctions attached to schools operating while they are not given the permission to operate. For the parents whose kids are in these affected schools, this is a time for them to try to look for placements in other schools. Where they have difficulties, they can come to the ministries, and then we can intervene.
To help them. With the
regional offices, yeah, exactly. So I think that would address the problem. Yeah.
You can monitor GRTS Radio live on our website at www.grts.gm. We bring more stories from outside the Gambia.
صلى الله عليه وسلم الحج المبرور ليس له جزاء إلى الجنة.
This year, Afisel is offering you the chance to travel to Mecca to perform the 5th pillar of Islam, Al-Hajj. 12 free Hajj packages to Mecca are there for you to win including travel allowance and accommodation. To participate in the weekly Friday draw on GRTS TV and get the chance to win, simply type your AfriCell number and send it by SMS to 1010 or call 1010 from your AfriCell line. And for every SMS or call you make to 1010, you will get 2 AfriCell minutes for free. But that's not all. This Hajj season, you can give the chance to any other AfriCell subscriber to win a free Hajj package to Mecca. Type the AfriCell number of the person you want to be part of the Hajj draw and send it by SMS to 1010. May all your prayers be answered.
Welcome back. The U.S. ambassador in Libya is among 4 Americans confirmed dead after rioters in Libya's second biggest city, Benghazi, attacked the U.S. diplomatic mission. Protesters attacked U.S. diplomatic compounds in both Libya and Egypt. It is believed both groups were angered by a film made in the United States that they consider to be anti-Islamic. The White House says it is outraged by the killings of its diplomats in Libya. We have details in this report.
Armed gunmen attacked the American embassy in the Libyan city of Benghazi on Tuesday in protest over an American film entitled The Innocence of Muslims, which was broadcast on YouTube. 4 American officials were killed in the attack, including the United States ambassador to Libya, Christopher Stevens. The film, which was produced by an Israeli-American, describes Islam like a cancer and depicts the Prophet Muhammad as being obsessed with sex. The Libyan authorities have offered their apologies for the incident. The United States has condemned the attack, but has confirmed that it would not have an impact on the 2 countries' relationship.
The friendship between our countries, born out of shared struggle, will not be another casualty of this attack. A free and stable Libya is still in America's interest and security.
There were also violent protests in the Egyptian capital, Cairo, over the film, where demonstrators scaled the walls of the embassy. The protesters, who were mostly Salafist, took down the American flag and put up an Islamic banner in its place. They also directed their anger at the Christian Copts, one of whom lives in the United States and allegedly participated in the film's production.
All Egyptians should take to the streets to express their anger, because what happened is not acceptable. This violation by Copts who have emigrated is unacceptable by Egyptians and by all Muslims.
The Egyptian authorities have since secured the American embassy in Cairo. Meanwhile, the Muslim Brotherhood, the most influential political force in the country, has called for demonstrations throughout the weekend.
Authorities in Pakistan say more than 300 people have died in a fire outbreak that engulfed a garment factory in the industrial city of Karachi. Rescue crews rushed to the scene of the accident but were overwhelmed by the inferno, with desperate families hoping to find their loved ones. Pakistan has seen a spate of industrial accidents in recent times, many of them blamed on poor safety procedures. We have more in this report.
A fire gutted this 4-story garment factory in Karachi in Pakistan. Relatives and onlookers were stunned and horrified as dozens of bodies of victims were recovered Wednesday. This is one of Pakistan's worst ever industrial accidents. According to officials, over 300 people were killed.
All the bodies that are being retrieved were inside the factory. The body of my son has not been recovered yet. Where is my Baba? He was my youngest son.
Hundreds of workers were trapped in the fire, which lasted over 15 hours. Dozens of charred bodies were found in the factory basement.
My brother-in-law was trapped in the basement. He and other workers called us all night saying, "Save us." By the morning, there were no more phone calls. We went to the factory, but we could not get any information. When we came, we knew he was dead.
Families have come to the morgue to try to identify the bodies of their relatives. All night long, firefighters tried to reach workers who fled to the roof, but the flames were too high. Dozens of people were forced to jump.
There was no safety measures taken in the design of the building. There was no safety exits, and all the people, they got trapped.
Women and children were amongst the victims. An investigation into the fire has been opened. There are frequent industrial